So Taurus, funny story. Did your reading, but it was a different sign. I did a different sign twice by accident. And I was like, who did I forget? And I'm like, oh my God, how did I forget Taurus? So here we are doing your reading. Silly me. But I actually think it's better because you have an eclipse coming up. Taurus suns, Taurus risings. But even more importantly, a lot of intuitive messaging has been coming through in terms of your health and your body and your relationships and what the health is of everything. And it's because, and if you've been wondering why, it's because it's preparing you. People come to you for insight. People come to you for comfort. People rely on you. You're tender, you're soft. However, there's this part of you that gets to a point where you're so over always being that person. So throughout your relationships, you've probably been either unconsciously or actively making an effort to be a little bit more... Hold on one second. Sorry, it's my cat, and I honestly didn't. I want to keep going with this roll. Okay, thank you. I'm back. So I actually wanted to move the flowers in a place that is better, and it looks like over here is good. Okay. Okay, so welcome. Okay. We know that you've been struggling with that, but there's also the part in your relationships where you maybe been actively becoming more playful in them, and all of them that you realize you need more play in your life, or you need these things in order for things to be, for your life to feel more full, for you to be more you, and not just that other side of yourself. And I actually just listened to something about astrology and psychology that didn't talk about you specifically, but talked about something that reminded me of you and made me want to say all this to you. So before we even get into it, all of the information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the second part / extended, which is on Patreon, which we get more into the cards, even deeper, see what's going on for the month in Libra season and what has happened. So this one will actually be coming out the same day that I do it. So this one's kind of nice. So now that so Mercury has gone direct. And I had a piece of paper. Look at me. A mess. Just kidding. I'm really not. All right. Anyway, we're just going to go for it. We'll get more into the signs and aspects in the second part. You're feeling like you need to release some energy. You feel this cycle. You feel the agitation probably already. It's for those of you who are extremely intuitive in your body. If you're not, you may have been feeling like a push to feel better, healthier, do certain things, and you almost feel like it's nagging on you, but you need routine, and you might as well just throw it in there. If you don't have a routine, it might be important to help your anything going with with your mental health. It might be a good idea to do something that you need that's both challenging but makes you realize that finding your weaknesses is a strength that you have, and carrying it out rather silently is another strength that you have, because people only see those things when you really, really show it. So it's important that you not hold grudge or begrudge anyone for the relationship you're also in, because you're here too, and you're needing to, and because we're in the month about relationships, here we are. You may need to state your needs more, and be adamant about them. You could be like that with other people and not like that in your intimate relationship, which will be more of a Scorpio season reading, which we're heading into. But for a lot of you, it could be friendships. It could be even boundaries with work. So you're needing to state things, but you're also needing to realize, like, I know that I may have allowed things to get this far, being pushed this far. Something like that could be possible. And it feels like out of your character to an extent, because you feel like a lot of things have been just maybe even provided for you this year, or provided for you at different times where you don't even have to speak up, it just happens. However, it's important that you get used to this speaking and stating things that make you feel uncomfortable, because that's actually where it lies. Taurus, you rule the throat. So it's extremely important and valuable in your life that if there's anything going on in that area, or you feel inauthentic, or your voice gets constricted, you notice the tone, like in all situations, it's very inherent how you feel about someone, or how you feel about the situation, whether it's protecting yourself or not, or stating the truth or not, or going along with it or not, having a good time or feeling more like wanting to leave, basically, a situation. We have multiple sixes come up too, which is the other spiral. So yeah, so you may be coming, so Libra season might be bringing you in, right? And I've never really explained the numbers like that, but it might be bringing you inside and realizing what needs to come back out and what needs to be said. There's a lot of Mars and Gemini energy happening too, which makes people more vocal about shit that might not be necessary, but all of it's just coming out, and it's a double. There's a lot going on in air. Venus is in Libra, Mercury is in Libra, the sun is in Libra, and there's a lot of information flying around. There's a lot of things coming out. There's a lot of things continuously to be hidden for now, and the most important thing is that you have control over what you need and what you want, and how you go about achieving that. It might make you contemplative this month, and it changes everything almost. The eclipse, perhaps it's something that you said, and whether you not received it, or the kind of response that you got. We have here this very quick shift into, okay, I need to think quick, and I need to think out. I need to think long term. I need to think how this certain situation is going to affect me, how this person's going to affect me, how all these things in your life are affecting you now, and how that actually is a very easy way. Sorry, I just keep looking at my cats. They are a trick. They like to be tricksters, so I just want to make sure that they're not gonna make any loud noises, pretty much. You know, so you realize that maybe what's kept you at a certain place, or kept you held back, or kept you from not doing this, was because you just didn't realize it fully until now. You're grasping why maybe your health is becoming even more important, maybe even more noticeable. For some of you, you could be preparing to give birth, if that's something that you're thinking about as well, or just preparing your body to be healthy so that you really listen to it. No matter what anyone says to you, I'm not disregarding any kind of person. It's important to get checked out in whatever manner you decide to do that in. However, it's also important to listen to what you know you really need, and you don't really need someone else to tell you. And you find that through using your softness for yourself this month, especially more for yourself. You might even find that your social life dwindles towards the center of the month. And if you're overcompensating in that area where you're going out a lot, you may be, because we're in very Venusian things, and you could feel like if you do certain things, you're having great conversation, you're having good time, it justifies it. However, there's a part of you that really needs rest, and you really need to listen to that if things are going to move forward in a productive way as the months come, the next weeks, and months to come are going to be what you're, kind of going for. You could want to make a drastic shift because it is Libra season. However, anything you feel that way about, if you can sit with it, not make any impulses on it, then that would be your best interest, within your best interest. Yeah. So there is a situation where there could be someone who even wants you to be more impulsive with them, perhaps, and you're just kind of like, in the moment, yes, and then all of a sudden you have a second to think about it, and you're like, actually, I'm not going to do that. Because you're seeing things, you're becoming more aware of like the consequences that happen, and mind you, thinking positive is important. However, if it's actually a stupid or dangerous situation, then, thinking positively is thinking reality. It's more of like, if it's a situation where it's more not only creative, but it's not going to risk yourself in it, then yeah, go for it, be spontaneous. But if someone's trying to pull you into something but it could eventually bring your life in danger, you're kind of like, I'm good. I think I'm good with that. I think that's smart, because being more disciplined to the lack of, and some people won't even think of Tauruses as impulsive, but you can be in your own way. And sometimes it's risky and it ends up being an act of courage and bravery, and at other times it's going to bring you down a mental health spiral in the future, or can be detriment to your body. And it comes from maybe not utilizing your rage, and maybe it's pent up and you want to act out in a certain way. And that's why it's important that whatever you're moving through, the agitations, the anger, because you're an earth heavy, like very fixed earth sign, regardless if it's sun, moon, or rising. But I'm going to talk mainly to the suns and risings here. The moons, depending, it depends, the way I see it. So you realize where this earthiness, the security, where all those things are important, and you're kind of seeing whether or not you're insecure in an area, or you have just a lack of security in that area, or you, meaning like monetarily or mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, you can find yourself really leaning into that, and because you're causing maybe friction, because if you decide to be more disciplined this month in certain areas in your life, you could cause more friction, because that needs to still come out. That's what's coming out. So you need to allow it to come out. However, how are you going to choose to do that? Well, it's a great thing if you're able to channel it in, like, with breath work and doing different things like internally and then creating externally, or vice versa. Like, maybe watching your breath as you do your work, or maybe speeding it up or letting it out, or doing some kind of like explosive exercises could be beneficial this month, but they can also be detrimental. And I know it sounds like, oh, but it's both. It's like, well, it depends on where it's coming from. Like, you don't want to go lift some weights if you're really angry at someone, and you don't know if you're at that point where you can hurt yourself. Like, you can do something, it could feel good in the moment, but actually you didn't realize that you maybe pulled something. So I'm just using that as an example, but you can add that into different areas of your life, or you might think you need to say something when you actually don't. There's just so much, and as someone who's very earth-like, the reason why I bring up fire is because it can help move things and shift things very quickly around for you in a way that's very good and very positive. You can be disciplined in that area, and that's where you differ from Libra. You have different disciplines. But when you can bring them together, or notice them and accept them and utilize them in your seasons, as both of the ruling planets can coexist, you have a breakthrough at the end of the month. A lot of you will have an opening, a breakthrough of what it does look like to enjoy, be fulfilled, have great experiences. Maybe recognize if you want to be in a long-term partnership, or you're someone who doesn't necessarily need that to be happy, or if you're single and you realize that you want to be more committed to dating, or vice versa. Just go with the scenarios. But there's a lot of things that shed light for you, pretty much, and they come very quick. They can be very sharp, but sometimes you need that, because there's that it's not just how you're stubborn, but like, if you're going to put an analogy, you could have thick skin in the way that is sure beneficial, but in order to actually reach you have to say something. And then that can go for almost every earth sign, except for Virgo maybe. But something needs to be said, or in a way where it's actually going to hit you. And it doesn't mean I'm saying to take abuse. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying someone could say something in a specific tone with a certain manner that says, okay, like, yo, you got to stop this. And if you're going to ask me what that is, it's, you need to stop pretending like your alone time isn't the best time you could be having in that moment, if that's what you need. Like, there's so many things to do, yeah, but if you really need that time alone, that's actually the best time you could be having, because you need it. So if you do the opposition of that, your body's being challenged in a way that's actually not helpful, because we all need those moments of rest to know and even save energy. It's not being lazy all the time. I'm not saying to be lazy either. I'm saying that you need that explosive energy. But again, notice how you're feeling, what's triggering it, because you could be in a lot of different situations where you have to have an answer, perhaps, at least for yourself, or you want one for yourself, you're looking for it for yourself, and you're also seeing through a lot of the bullshit that's happening as well. So you're getting very clear, and it's becoming very clear to you through this time, I think, more than ever. You could almost feel like you're slingshot into Scorpio season, and then all of a sudden, boom, you hit the wall. And we'll talk more about that in extended, because you're then in Scorpio season, and in the depths of everything, you're like, I don't know where else I can't go anywhere else. Which is both exciting, enticing, and can be drowning for some. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, just mentally, emotionally, and it can feel that way sometimes. So it's important that you prepare your body for whatever is going to really come out next month, or something that you're going to receive that needs that space, that needs that room. And the only way you can give it to yourself, only way you can utilize that, is if you give it to yourself. And there will be a lot of fresh new energy as well. So there's like a lot of that's changing, perhaps, or about you, but you've never been more sure about this. You just have more energy, so you may seem different to some people. By next month, perhaps, if you go along this road, you may seem different because you have a different kind of energy, or utilizing your energy different. Uranus and Taurus as well. You're being more, there's something electrifying about you, because you feel it, and you don't know how to, you can't be like on 100% of the time always doing the thing, creating the thing, or whatever. You have to, like, we're all human. You go through your daily interactions, so you might come across as maybe more intense than normal, and what people are used to, but the ones who love you are going to get used to normal. Just be prepared for people not to understand, or not get it in the moment, or act differently towards you, because you're also becoming different. So it's like, it's a very much a mutual thing, and it's not something that you can always be aware of all the time. However, here's your preface to that, I guess. Yeah, and don't use all that extra energy to tell people their business either. Just be careful. Just be careful. Yeah, okay, and then we'll get more into the extended. All right, all information is below. It's all good. Prepare. See you next month.